Hi folks, back again. Yes, Bathrobe Chronicles. This is number 39. This is sort of two things at once here. And though I doubt I will go very long, I do want to set the old watch. Uh, Two things. One, what's the purpose of life and how to best live your life? And I'm wondering, how the hell am I qualified to talk about that? Well, actually, I'm most likely as qualified as anyone. Uh, let's start with the first one. What's the purpose of life? I live in the United States. I'm not going to tell you any more than that. I don't want you to get any. And I think most of us in the United States are Christian. Well, I'm pretty sure we are. In fact, a lot of people refer to this as a Christian nation. Well, I guess from the standpoint of we are a nation, and most of the folks in the nation are most likely Christian. So from that standpoint, but we aren't actually, at least I hope we aren't, a nation that's devoted to Christians or what have you. But anyway, I'm getting way out of the area. Okay, let me start again. I would imagine for most Christians, the purpose of life, if you believe all that stuff, should be fairly simple. And though I don't know a whole lot about the Christian religion, you basically are praying to God and all that kind of stuff and doing God's bidding. And what you're hoping for is that you'll end up in heaven. Now, I guess that would be why we, in other words, a Christian who is so inclined to believe all that stuff, I guess that would be why we're here and why and what the purpose of life is. And the purpose of life, of course, is pray to God and so forth and so on, and be in His good graces. So, actually, that seems pretty sad. If we think that we're put here by this dictator up in the sky, who is going to know everything we think, who is going to be judging us on everything we do, who is going to be more or less in control of every waking moment and even when we're asleep. And then if we further believe, then what we ultimately are heading for is to go to heaven and continue this for an eternity. Hey, if you want to buy into that, knock yourselves out. But I don't think that's what the deal is. First off, I don't think there's a purpose in life per se. In other words, I don't think there's anything preordained or set up or whatever. I think we're here. And as I said, I don't believe in the dictator in the sky who's, calling the shots, so to speak, or anything else. I think we're just put here. It just happened. I don't know how the hell we got here. I believe, like the evolution thing, that we somehow evolved, and here's what we end up with in this year, people like me. But I don't think anything was preordained, that we were put here for a specific purpose or anything. We just happen to be here. That's all there is to it. Now, if you want to believe that other stuff, and you want to pray to God every day and hope that you end up in heaven praying and praying and praying, knock yourselves out. That surely doesn't sound like much fun, I'll tell you. And folks, as far as I'm concerned, there's no heaven, there's no hell, so what the hell? Live your life, the way you want. Now, the other part of this that I was talking about is not only what's the purpose of life, which I don't think there is a purpose. Now we can say to ourselves, well, this is the way we should live since we are here. Every once in a while, like you might be sitting up with one of your buds, had a couple of beers or a little bit of bourbon or some wine or whatever, and you start waxing philosophically about, hey, what's it all about? Blah, 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 blah. Anyway. But I think I did come up with what's the best way to live our lives? I was thinking about this the other day, and sometimes the simplest is possibly even the best. Not always. Just because something is simple, just because something you can phrase it in a few words doesn't mean it's best. But I'll tell you what I came up with, and of course I'm not capable of this. I'm not capable of much of anything, actually. But I decided that what would be the best way for me to try and conduct myself or live this life, however many years or months or minutes or seconds or whatever is left, what would be the best way to conduct myself, or what should I shoot for? And what I came up with is I want no new regrets. Now, I can't go back and say all of the regrets I have I want to somehow get rid of. Let's face it, that's impossible. But if from this minute on, if I never had a regret in the future, obviously, as I said, we can't go back in the past and do anything about that. But if I didn't have any regrets in the future, those things like we look back and we say, why did we do that? We shouldn't have done that. That wasn't very nice. If I could do that, I think that would be pretty darn good. I don't know about you guys, but, like the day I check out, if I was aware of anything or what have you, and someone looked down and said, hey, you remember that silly video you had, what is this, the 16th of November, and you said you wanted no new regrets? Have you had any regrets since then? And if I could say, honestly, that I hadn't had any new regrets, that'd be a heck of a deal. And that would be a good way to live. It really would be. But as far as what's the purpose of life, why were we put here? Well, as far as I'm concerned, some kind of bizarre, random cosmic event. I mean, in other words, whatever happened, happened. The Earth was here, and we evolved over the past, 100 million years, or however many years you want to use. And there was no, like, supreme being, some, dude up in the sky, some dictator pulling the strings, inventing everything, or creating everything in 6 days, resting on the 7th and all that. That's baloney. Don't buy into that. I mean, really. And in all seriousness, let's just say it was an option. You could, like, buy into that or not buy into that. Hey, I'm running out of time. Let me go to part 2. Hold on a minute.